Good morning, it's Tuesday, it's about 7:30, getting ready to head down to the gym, get my workout in for this morning. And after that, I will be heading over to the Integrative Medicine Clinic to have an appointment with my naturopath. We will be going over my blood test results for PFAS, which is the forever chemicals. I did that test several weeks ago when I was still in Virginia. I have had the results for a little bit, but just we haven't had a chance to actually meet and go over them. I will also be getting an IV nutrient infusion while I am there, which is another thing I haven't done in quite a while because I was gone for those 2 months. It'll be kind of interesting to see if I notice anything because I've been doing the IV therapy very regularly for a long time, and then when I went to Virginia, it was the first time in a while where I took like an extended break from it. So I'm just kind of curious to see if I notice anything starting those up again. And today is also November 4th. It is election day, so at some point we'll definitely be getting out to vote. But as always, kicking off the day with a little bit of movement. I mentioned in my previous video that I kind of have switched up my workouts a little bit. So still doing 4 strength training sessions a week, but doing 3 full body sessions and then 1 day a week that's more of an accessory day, and kind of lower intensity, body weight bands, that kind of thing. That is going to be what I'm doing today. I have a little bit less time today because I have to get to this appointment this morning. So I figured today would be a good day to do that workout rather than try to kind of fit in like a full strength training session. So I'm gonna head down to the gym now and then get to my doctor's appointment. Okay.
All right, here we go.
So,
Well,
wow.
you ain't got your PFAS checked.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard because we don't have a lot of data yet. They kind of look at how much PFAS is in the blood of the population. We would look at something like this 600-page document, right? So if we go to serum, and this is part of what they're trying to say here. They're just kind of comparing it to their data here. They're saying like the summation, which we'll go back to in a second, like the median is 7.04, 95th percentile. So depending on who you talk to, like those in environmental medicine might say anything in the 90th or higher percentile. Certainly anything in the 95th percentile, that would be considered actionable. But when we look at your levels, they're 8.27. So I'm not sure if that's reassuring or not, but you're like just above the median.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily in that actionable range, but just kind of for reference, like your levels are 0.74. And if you look at like 95th percentile will be, you know, anywhere from 1.62 as high as 4.14. Overall, like, yes, these are all elevated because their reference range is up to 0.1. So you're elevated, but in terms of like population-based data, like you're just above the median. You're certainly not anywhere close to the 95th percentile. That said, I mean, there's just a lot we don't know about PFAS.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot we know, and then there's a lot we are learning now. When you talk about PFAS, and I know we've talked about like, okay, what about microplastics and IV tubing? There are these clinics now that I don't know of any in Minnesota yet. The closest one I can find is in Chicago, where basically it's kind of like a dialysis machine where you get hooked up and they basically like filter your blood. Most people are like, well, how do I get rid of PFAS? It's still important to do all the things like sauna and sweating and regular bowel movements, and all those things are important, but for better or for worse, PFAS the easiest and the best and the most efficient way out is out of the blood. So that's where the idea of plasmapheresis comes up. And the more I think of it, I'm like, sometimes with some of my patients, I just want to give them a clean start.
Yeah.
So why not? I mean, I'd love to think there's like something you could take to like clean your blood. And while there's a lot of like traditional herbal formulas and herbs that we always call them blood cleansers, I don't know if they quite can like pull microplastics out of the blood. What do you do with this information? Well, the good news is, the silver lining is you're not in that actionable zone. So yay! Yeah. The things you're doing are probably making a difference. If you really wanted to act on it and see if it made a difference, if I was going to do anything, it'd probably be the plasmapheresis, quite honestly. Yeah. There is some idea like just by, it's sort of like a reset, and might help to overcome or sort of help ease or improve things for people who have these more complex conditions where we're just like, we're trying to hit it from so many angles, we're not sure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, metals, I even think about like how your cholesterol levels have been like, kind of like elevated, and I think there's potentially benefits beyond just this.
Yeah. It's a little bit later in the afternoon and I just got back from voting. My voting location is only about half a mile from where I live and it's so nice out. It's like a perfect fall day here that I figured I should take advantage and just walk over there. Haven't really gotten outside today or gotten my steps in, so it's nice to get outside and also to go vote, obviously. But I wanted to do a quick recap of my doctor's appointment from this morning. I know I already shared some clips of what we went over and it wasn't anything super exciting, but kind of also a good reminder of why it's important to have somebody that's able to read and interpret these test results. Back when I first got these results and I was sort of looking at them myself, I was just seeing numbers that, at least on their scale, on the test results, like whatever scale they were using, was on the high end, but I didn't really know what that meant. And as my doctor said, like when we actually looked up reference ranges for adults for these different chemicals, these different forever chemicals, for the most part, nothing that I had on those test results was super high or very alarming, or not even really to the point where you might necessarily take action. Yes, they were like above maybe what would be considered ideal, or at least these levels were detectable enough in my blood that it's notable. Definitely not like my heavy metal situation where the numbers are so high, and for things like lead and mercury that are particularly like detrimental, that is something that we definitely want to focus on and take action on. With these PFAS results, it was like, well, this one's a little bit elevated, or maybe overall there was like a slight elevation compared to what would be considered average. But it's also a fairly hard thing to target or get rid of, especially considering I've already done kind of all the steps in terms of my environmental exposure, or at least the things that I kind of can control on a daily basis. So beyond that, it is kind of hard to get rid of microplastics. Like, we all are exposed a lot on a daily basis. So for now, it's good to know, it's good to have that data. We're not going to do anything specific at the moment. There is a newer protocol that my doctor has kind of been looking into that's basically like blood filtering. You're hooked up to sort of like an IV situation, and it's like actually filtering your blood and getting out things like microplastics. Right now, there's nobody local that is offering that, but the clinic where I go, they might consider starting to offer that if they would have enough demand from their patients. So that could potentially be something in the future that I might try if I had access to it. But for now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna finish the antifungal protocol that I'm on, give my body a little bit of a break after that, kind of see how things settle, how I feel. And then there's also another little blood test she just wanted me to do as kind of follow up to the antifungal protocol. It's more of just like a check-in on liver enzymes to make sure that nothing is elevated there after taking these medications. But once I get that done, we will check in again and kind of determine what we want to try next, or what our next steps will be. So nothing new on the agenda for now. I'll just keep focusing on the things that I already have been doing and things that can help detox, like doing sauna and getting regular movement, sweating, taking certain supplements that can kind of help with binding and detoxifying. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll have another little check-in and see if there's anything else we want to add in at that point. Just finished my orthodontist appointment. It was actually a little more of a like in-depth appointment than I was expecting. I thought I was just getting like a check of where I was at with the Invisalign and maybe deciding like whether we needed to do more. But we actually ended up doing a new CBCT scan and an Invisalign scan and some photos. And then my orthodontist kind of checked on everything and she's very happy with where things are at now and kind of the progress that we're making. Sounds like we will be getting another set of aligners. So for now, I'm supposed to just kind of finish off the ones that I still have because I have been going through them a lot more slowly than kind of was scheduled. Like I'm supposed to be changing them every week, in which case I would have been like done with the ones that I have right now. But I've really been switching them out like every 12 to 14 days. That just feels better to me. It feels like too much too fast if I switch them every week. I just feel kind of more uncomfortable, kind of more of a headache, more tooth pain and whatever. What I tend to notice is like after I switch to a new set of aligners, about like 3 or 4 days in is when I start to feel some tension and really have the most discomfort, and that'll last for a couple of days. And then if I give it like another 5 to 7 days after that, it feels like everything has really settled and I'm not noticing anything anymore, and then it feels pretty comfortable to switch to the next ones. But if I do it every week, it just feels like my body's constantly having to adapt and there's never any like settling period. Anyway, it just means it's going to take longer. It doesn't matter if I do it that way. So I'll continue with the ones that I have for now, and then in like 6 weeks they'll have the new ones in and I'll go back and get those. The other thing that was kind of interesting was that on the CBCT scan, she noticed something on the right side, like kind of my right sinus. She was asking me if I had like just gotten over a cold or been sick lately or like had anything going on that I was noticing in my sinuses, which I don't. I haven't had anything that has been uncomfortable. I haven't been sick. So she did decide that she wanted to send that in to get a radiology report just to be like extra careful and extra sure before we start doing anything else with my teeth. It could just be like some mucus or whatever built up, but she just wanted to have that read by a radiologist since it's kind of out of her scope to diagnose or like really say whatever that might be. I'm not sure what that means, if it's just like maybe it is a little bit of allergies or something that I just am not really noticing, but that's also the side where I've had like kind of the scar tissue and the inflammation probably from both the jaw surgery and removing the plates. And when I had my cosmetic surgery, that surgeon said I also had like a little bit of bony overgrowth in that spot. Again, probably just from kind of repeated trauma of the surgeries. So I'm wondering if maybe like somehow that is showing up on there, or if potentially it's still just inflammation that is healing from the cosmetic surgery, because I do still have like a little bit of sensitivity in certain spots. It's only been like 7 months, so there's definitely still some swelling that is coming down. So it could be any number of things. It's probably nothing to worry about, but we'll see what they say about that, I guess, once I get that report back. Otherwise, for now, just kind of stay in the course and we'll get some new Invisalign aligners in a few weeks. It's a little later in the afternoon and I'm just about to head out the door to a skincare appointment, getting a dermafacial with this woman that I've been working with for quite a while now, who I kind of think of as like a holistic skincare specialist. I actually started working with her shortly after my jaw surgery when my skin was basically like screaming at me. It was so irritated and I had no skincare routine. I really had no idea what my skin needed or why it was so irritated. I had never had a facial before or anything, and I wanted to find somebody that kind of fit into all the other stuff I'm doing in terms of like looking at it from a full body perspective and like being really intentional about what products she's using or ingredients she's using or not using. And so I was really happy to find somebody near me who kind of shares the same mindset as I do about health and wellness and how that relates to skincare and skin health. And she set me up on a daily skincare routine, and then I see her fairly regularly for like a dermafacial, or sometimes we just do like dermaplane because my skin tends to be very dehydrated and gets more buildup, so it's harder for my skin to stay hydrated. So she's really helped keep my skin in a good place for a long time. I'm just watching some birds in my little bird bath out on my deck. There are the cutest little birds just having a good time. It's probably really hard to see that, but they are definitely enjoying themselves out there. Anyway, what was I saying? Basically, I'm just so glad I found her several years ago, and it's really helped to have somebody else be able to say like, this is what your skin needs, like just do this morning and evening. It's not complicated. We actually haven't really even changed anything over the years because it's been working really well. So I'm not constantly trying new products or anything like that, but it's been quite a while since I've seen her, since I was in Virginia for those couple months. I think I had seen her maybe even like a month before I left. So curious to see how my skin is holding up at this point, especially having done that travel, like lived in a different environment for a while. Now I'm back home. The weather is changing. It's getting colder and drier. Definitely feel like this time of year it's a little bit harder for me to keep my skin hydrated. It starts to feel a little more dry. So I know it'll feel really good after this. So this is, I guess, the before. I don't know if it'll be light enough out by the time I get back to do like an after, but looking forward to getting a little skin rejuvenation this afternoon. Okay, this is the after. I don't know if we'll really be able to tell on camera, and given that the sun is basically setting now, so it's getting dark outside, don't have the best natural light, but skin feels very refreshed and rehydrated. It was somewhat dehydrated, but she said other than that, everything looked really good, so that was good to hear. Tomorrow, I actually have a dentist appointment. This is like the week of catching up on all my appointments, which past me, like child me, would have hated this week having an orthodontist appointment and a dentist appointment back to back. Luckily now I don't find that to be quite so uncomfortable. I don't love going to the dentist, but it's usually a pretty easy appointment to get through, and I really like my dentist, so not necessarily looking forward to it, but definitely not dreading it, and I know the more I keep up with it on a regular basis, the easier it is. I'm hoping this will at least allow it to air out a little bit until I'm ready to actually lay it down in my bedroom. My project for today is to finally get back to cleaning out this sort of junk closet that I have. A couple weeks ago, I kind of started it by just taking out anything that I had stored in there that really was to donate or sell or give away or whatever. But that was like 1/10 of this whole project. What I really need to do is like go through shelf by shelf, take everything out, go through all the boxes and containers, figure out what is actually in there, because some stuff has just been stored for so long I have no idea what is even going on in there. Do kind of like a deep clean and organize. I don't think I'm going to get through all of it today, but the way I'm getting myself to start this is just telling myself all I need to do is do like the bottom shelf, take everything out, figure out what I need to keep or what needs to be gotten rid of in one way or another. And if I just do that, that'll be good enough for today. Who knows, maybe I'll get on a roll and do a little bit more. But over the past couple of weeks, I've actually made this worse because I've just started like randomly throwing other stuff in there to get it out of the way. And now it's starting to drive me crazy. So I definitely want to at least get started on it, see how far I get. This is so random, but while I was working on the closet, I had these in the oven. These are actually dog treats. One of my personal training clients recently adopted a new puppy, and I just thought it would be fun to make some homemade dog treats. I have a bunch more of them, so I thought I could kind of use them as maybe little like holiday presents to people that I know that have dogs. And they're only 3 ingredients. I think it was 1 cup of flour, 1/3 cup of peanut butter, and 1/2 cup of pumpkin puree. Just mix it together. Obviously, I didn't make them very aesthetic. I just kind of roll them into little balls and then flatten them out to bake them instead of like rolling them out and using an actual cookie cutter. But I mean, if you're just gonna feed them to a dog, who really cares? So anyway, kind of random, but fun little baking project and could make a good gift idea. Good morning. It is Sunday. It's about 7:30, getting ready to head down to the gym. Even on the weekends, I do try to stick to my normal sleep and wake routines. Going to bed around the same time and waking up around the same time that I normally would. I really try to stick to that schedule as much as possible every single day. Because it not only helps a lot with my sleep quality, but it just kind of keeps everything in my body working better. And like I was talking about in my last video, like all of our cells are on 24-hour clocks. We all have like an internal circadian rhythm, and supporting the health of our cells and supporting that 24-hour rhythm is really key for optimizing overall health and the ability for our body to recover and heal and all of that. So even though it's Sunday morning and it's early, I'm still up at my normal time and getting ready to head down to the gym, get a little movement in this morning. We seem to have officially entered into more winter territory here in Minnesota. It's like 30 degrees this morning. There's some frost out there, and it's definitely going to be a little bit of an adjustment to get used to colder weather coming. It always takes a little bit and it feels really awful at first. Of course, by like February or whatever, this will feel pretty normal, for better or worse. But even though it's very cold out, we'll hopefully be able to still get some morning sunlight once the sun really comes up. I'm feeling pretty good this morning. My sleep, I feel like, has really leveled off. Like I think when I first got home from Virginia and then I had my trip back to Washington, and that kind of disrupted things a little bit. Now I've been home long enough and kind of on my normal routine long enough that my sleep feels feels really solid. My fatigue overall still feels a little bit higher than normal, I think because I'm still on this antifungal protocol. And I noticed when I first started that was a pretty big change right away. I just felt quite fatigued overall, and it's lessened a bit throughout the couple of months that I've been doing that. But I still just noticed an overall level of kind of like grogginess and heaviness that is more than what I would consider my usual. But I know that getting some movement, getting a little exercise always helps me kind of shake that off, especially in the morning. It'll at least give me a boost for a couple of hours, even if it's a little bit hard sometimes to get myself down to the gym or get started and get going. I always feel much better afterwards. When I said it was feeling very much like winter today and it was like 30 degrees, that was kind of wishful thinking. It's actually much colder than that. And with the wind chill, it apparently is like 10 degrees outside. I don't know if you can see, but my little bird bath has completely frozen over. So it kind of feels like we went from fall to winter overnight. I am about to head out the door to my aunt's house for a little family gathering, and then I'm meeting a friend for a walk afterwards, and I had to break out my winter coat. I'm bringing a hat and gloves because it is that cold out. This will be the first outdoor walk of the year in seriously cold weather. We'll see how we do. Got back from my walk and holy cow, that was cold. My hands and feet are still kind of thawing out, but once I have warmed up enough to actually feel my fingers again, I'm going to return to the closet clean out that I did a little bit of yesterday, try to get a little more done. There are two particular containers in there, like baskets I have in there, that are probably the worst two things that I'm gonna have to go through and figure out what to do with the stuff in there. I have a lot of random like leftover screws or little tools from furniture or whatever that's just accumulated, and some of it's stuff just like I don't even know what to do with it. I feel bad throwing it away, but it's probably not even useful to me or anybody else. Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can get through, just go through those two bins today. And actually, once I get those two things done, that closet is gonna feel a lot more decluttered and organized, because the rest of the stuff is pretty much stuff I'm going to keep and maybe just needs to be moved around. But I know I'll feel really good if I can get those two buckets cleaned out. And then at some point, I clearly still have some painting to do. I have quite a few little areas like that that need some touch-ups.